I'm just going to set the scene.
Okay.
Part of this came out of his idea of there's been violence going on. There's, and people talking about the drugs and people writing about the drugs and so on. But are everyday people talking about their lives? Are they expressing how they feel about who they are in this city? Do they feel good about who they are in the city? Do they feel like they have opportunity? Do they feel hopeful? And where does their own life intersect with this other problem? Like the drug thing. And so that's kind of where we were talking with Kevin. As you heard the interview, he was telling us a little about his history and his relationship with Wilmington, and then we sort of tried to get him to reflect a little on, well, how do you, given all that you've been through, look at this problem of drugs and violence?
I'd probably say, even just from my own perspective and what I've seen, with the issues with the drugs and violence, a lot of, as for me, things that can make you turn is when you make a mistake in your life. Like for instance, me, I made a big mistake at the age of 18, and I had really high dreams of actually going somewhere with my life, going to college and going to school, and I made a mistake and I tried drugs and I got into a bad car accident and I ended up with a felony on my record. I did 2 years in prison. So when I came out of that, it actually puts up a barrier of what you can do. I can't succeed and make the kind of money I want, because then when I go to put on my job application that I've been convicted of a felony, it throws people off and people don't want to hire you. So then it puts you in this range where you kind of have to live in poverty because you can't make a lot of money. And for instance, me, I turned to drugs. I couldn't get where I wanted to go in life. So I got a comfort out of drugs, and it just kind of sucks you in. It takes control of your life, and then when you get tied up in that becomes a full-time job, and you can't even move on with your life. I think one of the biggest problems, with what keeps happening with the drug scene, and all that. Yeah, you're always going to have issues where people are going to use drugs, and you're never going to stop that. But I think how a lot of people get sucked in is once they make a mistake, they can't, you make a mistake at a young age, you can't better yourself, with the whole thing with the background checks. I'm not really exactly sure where all that came into play or came into law, but I think that is one of the biggest places where, America has actually made a mistake as far as, causing this whole thing to ravel down into what it's been. Because I even know from experience going out here talking to people and running these streets and doing these things, a lot of these guys say, well, I went to prison and I come home and I can't get a job. And I've experienced myself because of my background, my felony. I can't move on. So you might get a job at McDonald's, but you're barely making any money. You're living in poverty, and you can't move on. You can't get out of it. It's like you get stuck in this kind of lifestyle and you can't get out. I mean, it's even with me. I would love to, I would probably, go complete school and do something if I knew that felony was totally off my background and I could get a good job. And I would put myself in a different category, but it's really, you can't really do that. And it's easier, people can say, oh, you can do it, and yeah, you get a few people that are able to do it, but the majority of people can't make it out of that. You get stuck in that, area.
You can apply after a certain period of time to have the record expunged in some way, can't you? Have you thought about that?
You can, but trying to get it done is not as easy, as I've tried to check into it. I was even involved in a court program where, when I had gotten in trouble since I had my original felony, when I was back out here on the streets doing drugs and making mistakes, where I went through the court system and I tried to get them to do it, and it didn't work out. It's more of a matter of being able to figure out exactly how to do it, and it's just hard, even after a period of time it can be done, but it's trying to get there. And I think if if that law was totally taken off, I mean, maybe it could apply in some cases, but if people were given a chance to actually have a second chance where their past didn't come back and haunt them after they've, if this is my thing, if you go to jail, you do a crime and you go to jail, you've paid your debt to society. I sat behind prison walls. I was taken from everything I loved, my family. and my life just stopped, and that's it was taken. I served my time. So why, when I get out, should I still have to keep serving time for my crime that I committed by that always showing up on my record? Because it does affect the rest of your life. You can't, you can say that you can move past that point, but you don't move past that point because it does come up. I mean, a prime example, about, what was it, maybe 4 months ago, I had a job interview where a place where I thought I was going to get a really good job. And I went to the interview and everything was great. I nailed the job. I was pretty sure I had an interview, and right at the last part of the interview, the lady says, we don't have to worry about, you have a clean background and everything. And I said, well, yeah, I do have actually felonies on it from back when I was younger and stuff. And the lady, she got upset. She said, unfortunately, this company won't hire people with felonies. And, she said, I will talk to people because you other than that, you are an excellent candidate for this job. But I don't think, the family that owns all those multi-property listings, will hire somebody in that aspect. So I didn't get that job, and it all came to do with something that happened years ago. So, I mean, that's just, kind of the part where you get at, and it upsets me.
I understand. What worked in your life that you were able to straighten out and walk a path where you wanted to do something besides take drugs?
Well, as the person that you just interviewed, I actually came into my life about 5 years ago when I was at a really tough point in my life, and he just helped me. It was somebody in the community that I didn't know. I had never met him before, and he took me in. I didn't have a place to live. I was living at Sojourner's Place. He gave me a place to live. He got me work with him, and it was the time the economy was doing better. And he trusted me, and he gave me a chance, and he gave me an opportunity to show my potential to actually make money. And I was able to make money and get a car and get my life totally back in order. And, I've had, a few issues since then. We don't work together no more, where I've had bumps in the road and stuff. But that was a really, somebody that took a chance with me and looked past my felony and gave me a chance to actually bloom out and do something with my life.
And so you see the value of trying to keep clean and trying to be positive because you know what that other way is going to bring you.
I know what the other way brings me, and when I can get down the narrow road where, you're always going to have problems in your life. Everybody has problems. But when I can get down that road where I can actually, somebody's given me a chance and I can make money and I can provide for myself, I feel a sense of goodness in me. An accomplishment, so therefore I don't feel those feelings where oh, here I am in this big world and I can't get anywhere I want to go, so I'm just going to go use drugs or do whatever and throw the towel in and do what's been known to me in the past.
Well, that's it from me, Robert, and I don't see our other interviewers.